Hi, my name is Lisa McKenzie, and I'm the founder and CEO of Unite Empowering Events and the creator of the U-Crown Storycrafting program. Today I want to share with you the very first story that I crafted. I ended up calling it a Cinderella story, and you'll see when I share this with you why I called it that. But what I decided to focus on was just a fear of mine that I established all my life, that whenever anything good was happening in my life, I was always afraid that the shoe would drop, hence a Cinderella story. This stemmed back to when my dad left me when I was a 13-year-old, and I didn't realize how much that impacted my life until I actually sat down and wrote this story. So I invite you to sit back and listen to a Cinderella story. When I was a young girl, my all-time favorite princess fairy tale was Cinderella. I loved the story of this beautiful peasant girl who, with the help of some mice and a fairy godmother, got bibbity-bobbity dolled up and eventually whisked away by a handsome prince who found her simply irresistible. But it's the modern-day version of the story that I really love, where the audience is finally learning about Cinderella's backstory and the circumstances of why she had a wicked stepmother and what life was like with her evil stepsisters. What really tugged at my heart when watching this modern version was how well the producers painted the anguish that Cinderella felt when the prince came looking for her. She was terrified that he would discover that she wasn't a princess at all. You see, in my world, I lived out a similar fear. I grew up in a very normal family, and as a naive kid, I thought we were happy. Those were the interpretations I had, at least, until one morning I saw my mother staring out of the window, waiting for my dad to come home, and he never did. There and then, the fairy tale in my world began to unravel. Before we knew it, my father had left us for a much younger woman, and my life became a living hell filled with food stamps and sexual molestation from an evil stepfather who took my father's place. And like Cinderella, I had an evil stepbrother who was known to throw me down the stairs almost daily when I tried to get him to stop playing his obnoxiously loud electric guitar in my house. Being an awkward teenager where I was worried about everyone's judgment, popularity and acceptance became my drug of choice. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was creating an addiction of needing people to love and accept me. I set out to create a public persona that made me feel like I was simply irresistible. While I was quite miserable at home, to my friends in the community, I was a star student and class president. And one of my literal crowning achievements was when I was nominated to be on prom court not once, but twice. That crystal crown on my head felt amazing, and hearing my name called over the loudspeaker as a member of the court was even better yet. Being popular gave me a sense of importance and self-worth, and the dopamine from that feeling fueled me for years to relentlessly strive to be the best at everything I set out to do. I needed people to love me. But there was always a lingering question deeply rooted in my subconscious. What if people discovered that the fairy tale story I was presenting to the world was not real? I've spent my entire life helping women find their voice after a tragedy by encouraging them to be real and to share their incredible stories, and yet I still was haunted by my own past. I had programmed my mind to believe that no matter how hard I tried or what I achieved, like Cinderella, the shoe would eventually drop, and the fairy tale I was creating would again come crashing to an end. But God has a funny way of weaving the chapters of our own individual stories together. I would have never dreamed that my fairy tale would include founding an organization that helps thousands of women who are afflicted by adversity find their voices. As I help these amazing women be real, I hadn't counted on how much their stories were helping me. I started seeing value in my past experiences, and instead of shame, my entire perspective in life began to shift when I started seeing my story as a beautiful, not shameful catalyst of every accolade and accomplishment I had earned. I was finally at peace where my story was allowing me to celebrate being wonderfully real. I finally felt legitimately worthy of wearing a crown. So why is it important that you come to peace with your story? Like mine, yours has incredible meaning and has created the amazing person that you are. Your story will not only help you find new freedom, but it will inspire others to look at you and say, I relate with her. I understand what she's going through. In the modern day Cinderella, there's a wonderful quote at the end of the movie that reads, perhaps the greatest risk any of us will ever take is to be seen as we truly are. Our greatest stories are always our backstories. Don't be afraid to share yours because it has shaped you into the incredible person that you are.